Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, good morning. For the record, my name is Alan Rice. I am the Vice President and Training Director of the New Hampshire Firearms Coalition, an organization representing thousands of law-abiding firearms owners, dealers, and manufacturers. I'm also here on behalf of our partners at Gun Owners of America, a national organization which represents hundreds of thousands of law-abiding firearms owners. We strongly support Senate Bill 12, and we urge you to promptly vote this bill ought to pass without any amendments or changes. As you probably know and you've heard, our neighbor to the west, Vermont, has never required a license or permission from bureaucrats to carry a concealed firearm. In 2015, Maine passed a constitutional carry law to do away with that state's permit requirement. None of the three northern New England states has required a license to carry a firearm openly or unconcealed. Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont are consistently ranked as three of the safest states in America. Three of the safest states. Criminals prefer unarmed victims. Concealed carry works because the gun is concealed and the criminal does not know if his potential victim is able to fight back. The right to own, carry, and use firearms for self-defense is a constitutionally protected civil right and should not end when a person puts on a coat. The founders did not contemplate citizens groveling to public officials to exercise that right. That is a 20th century creation. The police have no duty to protect average citizens, and according to the U.S. Supreme Court, the police cannot be held responsible for failure to prevent a crime. Armed self-defense by law-abiding people has been proven to work. In the summer of 2014, a doctor prevented a mass shooting at a hospital in Pennsylvania when he used his concealed firearm to stop a gunman. The doctor wisely ignored the hospital's gun-free zone policy. Police said had it not been for the armed doctor, the criminal would have gone out in the hallway and walked down through the offices until he ran out of ammunition. On New Year's Eve 2014-2015 in Osceola County, Florida, a pastor prevented a possible mass shooting in his church, saved the lives of several men, women, and children when he used his firearm to stop a shooter. We at the New Hampshire Firearms Coalition and Gun Owners of America trust our fellow citizens to follow the law and behave responsibly. If someone does commit a crime while carrying a concealed firearm, there are many statutes which provide for prosecution and, if convicted, incarceration. We don't object to the arrest and prosecution of real criminals. The mere act of carrying a firearm, concealed or otherwise, should not be a crime. What we strongly object to is the practice of making otherwise law-abiding people ask permission to carry a concealed self-defense firearm. We have seen far too many cases of these issuing authorities, bureaucrats, abusing their authority and denying licenses to people who are legally allowed to own and use firearms. People who do not have a felony conviction on their record have been denied. When this happens, that person must appeal the denial in a court of law. The process is costly and expensive and slow. That's not the way things ought to be. The law-abiding should not be treated as presumptive criminals. SB 12 will put a stop to these abuses. 3 years ago, the Department of Safety quietly changed the application for a pistol revolver license without any public notice, hearing, or attention. They slipped the changes in quietly, and when caught, claimed it was in response to a court case. Who was in charge of the Department of Safety? Who was watching the department? If SB 12 becomes law, the application form becomes irrelevant. Currently, the New Hampshire pistol revolver license is recognized by 27 other states under reciprocity provisions of those states' laws. The sponsors of Senate Bill 12 have wisely left the licensing provisions in place. However, since other provisions of law are being repealed, the license becomes optional. It remains in place for the sole purpose of reciprocal carry in other states. For the reasons stated, New Hampshire Firearms Coalition and Gun Owners of America urge this committee to vote Senate Bill 12 ought to pass without any amendments or changes. I thank you for your time, your consideration, and most of all, your public service.